Hello everybody, Incon here, talking about week three of the SPL, talking about some of the highlight games, close games, throws, things that people didn't think were going to happen, etc. Once again, we're not going to cover 2-0 stomps that everybody thought was going to happen. If you thought they were going to happen and they're not on here, then they happened, so congratulations. But starting off here with Trig and Epsilon Esports. While I do think a lot of people were thinking it might go 1-1, it was very lopsided in the first game. 22-3 kills. Trig only getting 3 kills in this first game. Although, even though it was 22-3, the game still went 32 minutes long. This was because Epsilon Esports was taking things very slow. They could have ended the game like 2-3 times, and they decided either to pull back, get buffs, get the Fire Giant again, grab an extra Phoenix instead of going for the Titan, get a Gold Fury. Like, they were taking it mad slow to really make sure they did not throw that victory. And they did not. They took that game wholeheartedly, no problems whatsoever. In the second game, though, it was a different story. We have Trig coming out on top. Bit of a longer game, actually, for our Season 2, looking at 38 minutes here. Kills were pretty lopsided again, but this time going towards Trig, 18-8. The gold being, of course, way more lopsided than the kills. Looking at the key factors here, you're looking at Azalea and Cuvo both going 7-0. That's a lot of kills. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of not dying. Cuvo on Ymir, Azalea on Sun Wukong. Both brought a lot of presence to team fights. They had 3 tanks on their team. Ymir, Ares, and Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong's a tank. He's not a Guardian, but he's a tank. Lobster and Funballer both playing ADCs, running the double ADC, triple tank meta there on that side. Looking over at the composition for Epsilon, they also went with double Hunter, but they went with a Janice throwing in that mage for the magic damage there. Just didn't work out for them. Didn't play poorly, but Trig really picking it up the second game, playing up to Trig standards, I would say. Pretty lopsided games both ways, but both teams having the capability to play up to a very competitive level. TSM versus Eager was this week as well. A lot of people wanted to see how well Eager would do against arguably the top team in North America, in the world, TSM. They played very well in the first game, and honestly, they threw. The kills don't show it, 26-12, but Eager had a fairly solid gold lead for quite a bit of the game, upwards of 5,000-6,000, I believe I recall correctly. They just didn't. They just had a couple bad fights, a couple maybe miscommunications. I don't know. I wasn't in their comms, obviously, but they seem to have everything going for them nicely. A big factor in this scenario was Boosh going 9-0-12. Just absolutely ridiculous score, man. Like, that's a 21 KDA for that game. Like, that makes me want to throw up. Boosh, please. That's so gross. TSM running the double Hunter with a Hades Kumakarna. You got 2 tanks, you got 2 Hunters, and they ran a Surcat in the jungle. The double Hunter meta really prevailing there. The second game was not as close as the first game. The first game really was in Eager's favor from the start, and then they threw. The second game was in TSM's favor, and they did not throw that game. They kept their lead. They kept improving it over time, and eventually they took the series. Boosh once again going in ADC middle. They ran the double ADC composition with a tank in the solo lane, Ionic on Sylvanas, and then Gar's going out Quang for more magical damage on their team comp, and really, really doing well. Everybody playing fairly well on the side of TSM. Denial Esports versus Cognitive. I think most people probably had this going 2-0 to Denial, and it did, but it was the way in which it did, which warrants this game being up here. I'm going to go ahead and say that Cognitive threw. Both games, honestly. Both games should have and probably, or could have and probably should have gone to Cognitive had they played it correctly. They were extremely exciting games to watch. I hope you didn't miss them. I think a lot of people probably pieced out because they were like, oh, you know, it's not the TSM Eager game. But this was a battle, man. It was crazy close for both games, back and forth, throw and throw and throw and throw and come back and yeah, just absolutely nuts. Really highlight of this first game, Meerkat doing extremely well, 9-2-9, playing very well. Unfortunately, just not coming through was the rest of the teams, it seems. Overall, strong play from Denial, strong play from Cog. Honestly, that game could have gone either way. 25 to kill to 22, 48-minute game. The gold difference was a whopping, like, 400 gold. Like, okay. Like, that's a close game. Second game, also really close, man. 25 kills to 21, 36-minute game, still a really long game. Gold, not quite as close to the last one, but still really close for how far that game had gone. Once again, they could have won. Cognitive had a good lead. They throw. Denial wins. That's kind of that in a nutshell. I mean, what are you going to do? Great games, though. Go back and watch them if you want to watch some really hype games. And finally, the craziest thing that happened this week, Fnatic dropping a game, the first game, to Upcoming Stars. Almost nobody saw this coming because only like 18 people got 100% of the games correct for week 3 on the esports ticket. A lot of people thought Trig losing to Upcoming Stars was a fluke, and it seems that this proves that it's not a fluke. The competition in Europe, I think, is a lot closer. People think it's a lot closer now than they did before. Before it was Upcoming Stars, you know, Night Watchers on the bottom. Now that Upcoming Stars won a game against Trig and Fnatic, that really shakes things up. And there's plenty of teams above Upcoming Stars, which means anybody's game in Europe. Almost the NA scene is looking a lot like that too. There's a lot of strong teams coming up in the NA scene where people are starting to lose games to teams, you know, that they didn't think they were going to lose to, which is interesting. Stars taking that first game. Real's playing very well, like normal. Considering he was pretty much behind for the majority of the game, he still played very well. Other than that, Mania getting picked off too often. Yeah, that's basically the story. I mean, he got picked off too often. Ares got big, and Ares made huge plays for the entire game. Second game was more in line with what people thought was going to happen. Mania picking Sobek, combining with Captain Twig on the Circuit there, doing a lot of damage. Neatholtz really putting in work. A lot of smart plays from Fnatic, putting the game away in 25 minutes there. Pretty straightforward stomp. Hi-Rez playing very well from the ADC position, playing from behind. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty much Fnatic's game. What people thought was going to happen in the first game happened in the second game. But regardless, the first game did happen, so that's pretty crazy. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope you learned something today. If you want to check out the games, you can come on Smite Reddit. You can watch the VODs. They're probably on YouTube as well on the Smite channel. But thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, please subscribe to the channel. And as always, have a twitchin' day, y'all.